In 1831, Niccolo Paganini claimed that his secrets of becoming one with the metronome and how to play unbelievably fast could magically change the world for any violinist. And when I was 17, these 2 lessons changed mine. Yet, to have the secrets of Paganini does not make one Paganini. We have to practice. And even though I traded my solo violin career for a set of carving tools over 40 years ago, I believe that with a little bit of practice over the next couple weeks, you and I can bring the magic of Paganini's lessons back to life. Now, some critics claim that practicing with the metronome will make your music rigid and unfeeling, while others insist that it's impossible to develop the discipline and control necessary without one. The truth of both of these statements is best put in perspective by the words of another master of the Romantic School of Music, Leopold Auer. Perfection first, then art. Yet, at the same time, Paganini insisted that the secret of becoming one with the metronome has a twist. Because even though it is serious business, what cripples most musicians is that this technical skill is only acquired by playing games, doing it with the attitude of a small child full of wonder and a fresh, open mind. Never forget that Paganini was famous for opening many of his concerts with ridiculous animal sounds and showing off a little bit. Yet, at the same time, small children almost always fall short, no matter how naturally gifted they might be, because, to quote Paganini, "It is a gross mistake to imagine that my secret may be discovered by observing my style of performance and any amount of practice. He that would reap the benefit of my secret must be possessed of intellect and the use of the proper tools." At the same time, Paganini declared that these 2 lessons, in particular, were magic. So whether you're 5 years old or 95, cast away all of your previous doubts and embrace the fact that by having a little fun and sprinkling a little magic on top, you too will become one with the metronome, as Paganini did. And with this newfound ability, open the door to an entirely new world of possibilities. The first part of the secret is that your metronome must produce a perfectly even beat with a clean, crisp sound. There must be no tick-tock of a swinging pendulum at all. Only tick-tick-tick or talk. In the days of Paganini, this really was a big deal. And believe it or not, it was still rather difficult to find one in 1979 when I experienced this lesson. Yet, after being shown just how imperfect most metronomes really were at the time, I gladly threw away my expensive family heirloom and invested in a black Franz, like the ones at the Romantic School of Music. Also like 11-year-old Richard Gaspars when he first meets Michelle Ross in the book 2 Trees. Yet, while you might think that that's not a problem because modern electronic metronomes don't vary in speed, they usually don't have the proper voice. There are others, I suppose, but the standard at the Romantic School of Music since the old days of the Franz has been the Korg KDM series, because the sound is important. Like Paganini's lesson about how to draw a perfectly straight bow, the secret for this lesson is also a stick, and later on, 2 sticks with rounded, blunt ends that fit comfortably in your hand. Using sticks is extremely important because to become one with your metronome, you must sound like your metronome. The sound doesn't have to be exact, but fairly close, and above all else, there will be no clapping. Clapping is for the audience when you succeed. And while it may be cute to watch children clapping to the beat of a metronome, the only thing that a violinist gets from beating their hands and fingers together is a sound that varies and fingers too numb to play properly afterward. After experimenting while making this video, these are the sticks I actually like the best, so feel free to try different sizes. You will also need an old desk or tabletop to tap against, not your parents' fine furniture. Set your metronome to 80 beats per minute and then tap the stick until you can perfectly match the beat. This may sound simple, and you may believe that you're doing it, yet most musicians go their entire life without actually succeeding. Almost everyone settles in, slightly off beat. Oh, most professionals do get close, sometimes almost perfect, yet not quite. So, how do you really know when you perfectly match the beat? This is the heart of Paganini's secret, and why the sound of your tapping must be at least close to the same volume and sound as your metronome. Because the answer is for some, after a minute or two, this just magically happens, even if it's only for a couple beats at a time. But when it does, it feels like magic because it sounds like somebody just reached over and turned off your metronome. Yet, when you stop tapping, the beat is still there. And for some, this part of the lesson can be as simple and profound as that. Yet for most students, it's not that simple. And they can spend hours at a time and never experience it at all. And I wonder if that was the case with Paganini when he was young, because of how much emphasis he placed upon this next part of the lesson. For lack of better words, the human mind is a funny thing. Some people's minds tend to be early, while others slightly late. In order to overcome these tendencies, if the metronome never falls silent, we have to first force ourselves to lead the beat by a very small yet discernible amount. And fair warning, for most people, this is not as simple as it seems, and it can become quite frustrating. Yet, don't be shy about it. Just try it until it sounds something like this. Yet, if your brain just won't let you, you need to exaggerate the difference, or even split the beat in half, so you can work your way closer and closer to the beat until you get there. Yet, don't feel bad if the metronome never falls silent. It just means that your brain is probably one that wants to be early. So, try doing the opposite and purposely lag behind the beat. Even if it means splitting the beat in half again and then moving closer and closer until you're almost there. Then, when it's comfortable, let yourself go until you naturally match the beat. Don't become frustrated if it doesn't happen quickly, or if you only experience 1 or 2 skipped beats at a time. Keep practicing these 2 techniques of leading and lagging the beat, and it will happen. The next game is to blindly select a speed and then match whatever the beat is perfectly, starting on the 3rd beat. This next game is also a bit of fun, and don't be amazed when the leading beat of the metronome in each measure magically disappears again, and you find yourself purposely tapping slightly offbeat to make sure that it's still there. This is just something our brains want to do. So fight the urge so you can always remain one with the metronome. Mastering the violin requires that our 2 hands do completely different things at the same time. In order to perfect this, your 2 hands must become one, just like the metronome. You can get used to hearing the correct sound by holding the 2 sticks together at the exact same height. The next step would be to landmark one hand against the other until the sound becomes one. And after you succeed, you can then play all the same games that you did with the metronome, plus trading the multiple beats back and forth from hand to hand. This can be rather challenging in the beginning, but later, it's always a lot of fun. The really amazing part of this secret is that once you become perfectly one with the metronome and with yourself, the more passionate your performances will become when you do decide to vary the tempo. This exactness and listening for perfection wakes up an entirely new part of our brain and prepares us for what comes next.